I'm unmuting. Here we go. It is 6 p.m. It's time for our October 28th Sherwood City Council meeting. At this time, I would ask for Aaron Evans. He is the Associate Pastor of Faith Baptist Church, and he will be leading us in prayer.
Thank you for this honor. Let's pray. Father in heaven, thank you for the gift of government, for life in a country where the people are blessed to govern themselves, and for the city officials gathered here, these men and women who give their time and energy to serve others. Thank you for living in the hearts of all who call on you and who sincerely believe. But you know us better than we know ourselves. You know that we're all a mixture of belief and unbelief. So no matter where we are today, please increase our faith, not in our own ability or wisdom, but in you and your loving care. Now, as your word tells us to, we pray for all those in authority, and specifically for these leaders of our local government. As they make plans about the future of our city, please make their deliberations sweet. Please guard their hearts and guide their thoughts. And most importantly, may your will be done here tonight. We praise you for the gift of your presence. May it be felt here in this place this evening. We pray all this in the name of Jesus, your Son, and our Savior. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Brooks.
Here.
Harmon.
Here.
Lilly.
Here.
Sanders.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Broderick.
Here.
Thomas.
Present.
Wade.
Here.
You all received the minutes from the regular meeting on September 23rd, 2024, as transcribed.
Move for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Brooks and a second by Councilmember Sanders. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Wade.
Abstain.
Brooks.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
Sorry.
That's okay.
And I have Brooks twice. Broderick.
Aye.
It's a B word.
Yeah.
All right. You all received the September 2024 financials. Any questions? There being none, we do have an announcement by Steve Cobb.
You will recall that Keith Wren from the Arkansas Municipal League was out here with us. It's been 3 or 4 months back, and we asked the council to give us the approval to make an offer of settlement in the Ward versus Sherwood case, which you did. You supported that. And the trial was scheduled to commence a week from tomorrow on November the 5th. However, today, Judge will help me. Billy Wilson signed an order granting the City of Sherwood's motion for summary judgment, and we ruled in Sherwood's favor on all counts. So the case will not go to trial next week. It's very good news.
That's wonderful.
Very good. Very good.
I will ask for Terry Hollingsworth to please come up at this time, if she is here.
I didn't see Terry.
I don't see
Oh.
her. I don't see her.
All right. I think basically she was just going to talk about the 2024 election. We've had a record number of people participating, which is great. Early voting's been strong, and I encourage everybody to please get out and exercise your rights to vote. Next up, we've got committees and commissions. Advertising and Promotion Commission, we have Councilmember Brooks. Chairman, please.
We did meet, and we are working on our 2025 budget, which we will finalize at our November meeting, which is the first Wednesday in November. We also have been working on for several years the history book, which is finally here, and I think everybody received one in their box. And I'd like to publicly thank
the two Lindas, Linda Remley and Linda George, who worked hard on that. There's a whole slew of people who also worked on that. Beverly helped me, because I think you probably know, I kind of stayed out of it. I turned it over to Linda Remley, basically, and because it kind of got bogged down and wasn't going anywhere, and I turned it over to Linda Remley, and I think Beverly knows more about it than I do.
What they did is they merged the two books and then took Lisa's edition from 2018 to present up through the election in 2022. And so you have one bound book that has both the green book and the brown book, the history of Sherwood from
Right. Yeah,
And,
I mean, I know
it's-
that much, but I mean, as far as,
the persons who helped do it.
yeah, as far as the people, I know that much, but who helped on this
Well-
third, with all the third parts and everything? Lisa
There-
Kelly is the,
Lisa
is
Kelly
the
was
author of the third
it.
book.
There were several of us educators who we were asked to proof, not for content, but for grammar and wordsmith it. So that's the most that we did, was to put it in sequencing order for what event happened first, second, third, and then just to make sure that it
Right.
was proofed. But you have educators with the document there, and it would have lots of red marks. Let me just say that.
So, yeah, so the third, this is the third book that starts after the second book. And there's Terry Hollingsworth coming in right now. So as soon as I finish my report, I guess we can go back to her. But, so we got there was a first book and a second book. And then we had the third book authored by Lisa Kelly. And then
She
Lisa
interviewed.
Yes, and so Lisa Kelly did some interviews and wrote the book. And then we get a group of educators, and Lisa Remley kind of headed that up. And so I know after that was put together, I turned it over to Lisa Remley to get that going, because it had just taken forever to get moving, and it had been on our A&P agenda for a long time. And I know back April, when you were on it, and Charlie, you've been on it, and you've known it's been there for a while. So the book is finally here. Everybody got one in their box. And for the general public, if you would like a copy of the book, it's a Sherwood history book. It goes back from the very beginning all the way up through the current mayor. And you can get one at the city clerk's office. They're available for a donation, and you may stop by there at any time. The city clerk's office is open, or they're also available at the Senior Citizen Center. And that's all, so I will turn it back over to you, Mayor.
I do think we need to be careful. I appreciate everybody trying to, do their best in terms of the history book. There's an entire population of people that have been excluded. Shelby Thomas made history by being the first person of color elected. No mention. We've had professional athletes, churches, a famous jockey of color, many, many notable people of color that there's no mention of whatsoever. So I would just ask that the next time something like this is done, that we really take a broader look at our city so that we do not exclude almost a third, and I'm sorry, Shelby, that it was overlooked, of what is now our city, because it's, I know that there are some very hurt feelings out there. We've had calls. There is one picture that is, that looks like it's from the Jim Crow era. It's not, but it's the only person of color that there is a picture of. It's a sketch, and the man has a completely black face, no name, except for a first name, no last name, and he did chores. So I think we've got to be careful, and I appreciate all the work, and We just need to make a more inclusive history book of all of our history.
Of course. I would agree with that then. I have not even opened the book, so I can't say one way or the other. The third author, the first two books were authored by different, Eileen Duran wrote the first book. The second book was authored by a group of individuals, several who are still alive, but most are deceased. The third book, I'm not sure where the author was chosen from, but that author was chosen, and all I was asked is if the Advertising Promotions Commission would pay for the book. That's all, and that's what we did. So
Yeah, I'm not trying to point fingers. I just feel like we need to be more inclusive.
And nothing of the book 1 and 2 were edited at all. It was just the book 3 was just added.
And there probably needs to be. So, all right, moving on. Are you finished?
I'm finished, so if you want to go back to
yes.
Terry, then.
So we'll go back. Let me introduce our Pulaski County Clerk, Miss Terry Hollingsworth. If you'll please take the podium.
Well, thank you. And thank you for having me this evening. My name is Terry Hollingsworth. I'm your Pulaski County Circuit and County Clerk. My apologies. We've got early voting going on. It's a little busy in my office. So I'm just here to just drum up more votes. That's not for me, sorry. Just trying to get people to go out and vote, and just want to say how excited I am that we had for the first week in Sherwood at the First Christian Church, we had over 1,300 people who voted, and then for the whole total last week, we had over 7,000 people that voted in Sherwood, and Sherwood is always number one. Woo! So I just want to make sure that the folks out there listening to my voice, and because I know you're airing this on YouTube and other places, that they go out and they vote. They have a plan. They look up their ballot on VoterView so they can see their sample ballot. If they know anybody who needs an absentee ballot, please put that in now, because the last day to request one is Friday, and you got to turn if you requested it yourself, you got to turn it back in on Friday. So just want to make sure that folks, which is November 1st, so just want to make sure that folks are engaged, they research their candidates, and they go out and vote. That's the only reason why I'm here. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. All right, back to the agenda, and thank you so much. Parks and Recreation Committee, Council Member Harmon.
Okay, we did meet last month. Minutes should be in your packet. Hopefully, that was our last meeting this year, my last meeting. We don't typically meet in November and December. I told them if any emergencies came up and they scheduled an emergency meeting, I was going to be suspicious. Now, if you have any questions on that, let me know. And we had a wonderful presentation at the meeting from and I can't pronounce this French word.
Atelier?
What?
Atelier.
Atelier? The Atelier, and that is French for an artist's studio, I believe. French for an artist studio. And Atelier School of Art, that was exciting, and I thought was an outstanding idea. It's for use for the current Duran Youth Center in Sherwood, which is not currently being used and hasn't been for a while. And I've got Oscar and Sarah Wajardo here to make the presentation here for the council. And I think Sarah's going to do most of the talking tonight. Is that right? No. Okay, Oscar's going to do most of the talking tonight. So if y'all would.
Yeah, so thank you for that, for me having to go right after you for that. That was pretty good. So just kind of set the tone on that. I kind of want to just kind of go over the history of the school and why it exists today. And I want to start off with a little story that I have that kind of happened to me when I was younger. When I was in elementary school, my father moved us from Chicago to Arkansas at a very young age, and he had a job lined up in Arkansas, and during the day he'd work as a laborer and go to plumbing school at night. So I was with my mom most of the day and most of the night, and we had one car. So obviously he used it, and me and my mom got to walk everywhere. And because it's Arkansas, we were used to buses and taxis and trains in Chicago, so we got to learn the walking style of Arkansas. So we walked everywhere. My mom saw that I had an artistic skill when I was younger, and she saw that there was a free art class at the Arkansas Art Museum in Little Rock. Well, we lived in Levy, North Little Rock, and she told me about it on Friday. And she's like, all right, we're gonna go on Saturday. So we got up and walked to Little Rock.
Wow.
It was the first time I went to Little Rock, and it was a long walk, and I remember going over the bridge, over the river, and it was a very interesting journey. I asked my mom, are we there yet, like 1,000 times, so. But I was ready. I remember the night before, I couldn't really sleep. It was my first time ever going to anything related to art, and I was laying in bed trying to get all my art ready to show this teacher, and I said to myself, man, whoever I'm about to meet, that's who I want to be when I grow up. I was like, this is a real artist. You know, I've never seen anything like that. You know, I grew up drawing Ninja Turtles and comic books that, you know, my mom and dad bought me. And actually going to a real art school for the first time was a dream come true. And she told me it was just a one-time thing, but I planned on like soaking in every ounce of this just to, you know, make sure I got it. So I got all my artwork ready in my little green notebook, and we walked, and we left the house at 6 in the morning and got there before 9, before the class started. And I remember walking into this big white room, and it was nice and clean. They had stools everywhere, and they sat us in a circle, and the teacher walked around looking at our artwork, and I was like so nervous, kind of like I am right now. I'm just kind of shaky. And he got to me, and I gave him my little green notebook, and the first thing he said was, oh, art on notebook paper, nice. I didn't know what that meant, right? I was like, okay, whatever, and he looked at one or two pieces, and then he just kind of halfway handed it back to me, and he goes, you know, not everyone's really cut out for art, you know. You can stay today, but you might want to try something different. I was in 6th grade when he said that to me, and I asked to go to the bathroom, and I cried, like out in the bathroom, and I was embarrassed, and my mom, you know, didn't know what was going on, so I stood in the bathroom and walked around in the gallery. It was my first time even seeing art in a gallery that I remember, and I waited until the class was over because my mom made all this effort for me to go, and, you know, I went outside and gave her a hug and told her thank you, and on the way back, you know, I had a long walk back, and I said to myself that whatever he says doesn't matter, and I'm going to try my hardest to keep working at it and keep going. And if I ever become a teacher or an educator or anything influenced in art, I would never do that to a child, because that should have just crushed me right then and there. But it really lit a passion and fire under me, and that's kind of why we're here today. That's the whole reason why this school exists, is because, one, I never had a room to my own, so it's like a really cool space. If you ever look at it, it looks like a boy's bedroom with arcade games and comic books everywhere. But two, it's a really cool place for a kid to go and, you know, follow their passion in art, and they'll never get told, hey, you can't draw on notebook paper. So that's kind of why we're here. So fast forwarding today, my staff, Tara and I, are very fortunate to have an amazing staff. While Tara runs the process art side, which starts at 3. On the studio side, we have Micah White. She's a current student at UCA. She's about to graduate and become in art ed. She's about to become a teacher. She helps me with basically all the kids that graduate from Tara's side and on up to high school. So we do the studio. We have Chris. He has an MFA. He works with 3D and sculpting and pottery. So he's very excited about this new space when we saw those kilns. So he's been blowing me up for a month, like, hey, when are we doing this? I was like, in time, man, we'll get there. And then we have Jake. He's our digital art expert. He's the most popular guy in our school right now because he teaches digital painting and animation, and we're one of the few places that you can go to actually do digital art and animation without it being at a university level or online. So it's a really cool feature to have. Together, we build a learning culture, we have fun, and it's a really great place for kids. And it follows our mission, which is, we believe in creating inspiring artistic expressions and providing accessible art education to anyone who seeks it. Accessible to anyone who seeks it, right? And that's the whole goal. Like, regardless of who you are, how old you are, this place is for you. We believe empowering individuals in discovering artistic voices and contributing to cultural vibrancy of our city. The students itself, like I said, we start at the age of 3 and we go all the way up to senior citizens. Our youngest explore art through creative activities while oldest develop their skills through structured programs. Most importantly, one thing that I've just blows my mind is we've had kids since the first month and even the first day that we opened. I still have my first student the very first lesson, and he's still there. And he's grown up, and a lot of them have grown up at this place. They've developed self-confidence and pride in themselves and their school. They all wear, and I still don't know why, but if you've seen the logo, it's on the front of that. It's that pretty guy on there. That's me. And someone told me that I look like Bob Ross, so that's kind of what they ran with. So they all wear the T-shirts. They have the stickers on their sketchbooks and their phones and their water bottles. They're proud of the school. Even in daily lives, they all wear it in regular stuff. When we moved from our first location to where we're at now, we had several kids cry because they just grew up at that location. So the current location that we're at now, I try to mimic a lot of stuff like the paint colors and everything of the old building to kind of remind them of that. So they're going to be in a really big surprise. We move again. So I think it'll be good. I'm pretty excited about it. But we all cried about it, and I think we're doing good. For the community, honoring the past, we recognize that the former youth center holds a deep meaning to our community. And I believe that makes it perfect for the Atelier School of Art. I really do. Through our art programs, workshops, and shows, we aim to carry the legacy of the center for personal growth and community connection. Our vision is to make a true hub for artistic expression, not only for visual arts, but for dance, music, creative writing, and theater. We want to offer a space where all these forms of creativity can thrive, providing an open door to any artist or teacher needing the space to share their craft. At the heart of it all, commitment to accessibility and art education, we believe that creativity should be within reach to anyone who seeks it. We have a little art box that's in front of our school, and it's basically stocked with art supplies and sketchbooks, anyone free to whoever wants it. And we put it out there because, we've seen like the food pantries and the libraries and stuff like that. But, again, just speaking on my behalf, when I was younger, art supplies were hard to come by. So I wanted to give something to the community where if they wanted to come out and get free stuff, it's available for them. So it's the first one that we have. It's in front of our school now. But we plan on collaborating with libraries and churches to try to put some more out in the community. And the one box that we have, I've been like genuinely humbled by the generosity of others on how much they've donated to the box and just bringing in supplies for it, and just seeing like the community come together just for that one box. So just imagine having 5 or 6 out in the city. So I'm really excited about that, and once we start gearing up toward that, I believe it'll be a really cool feature to have in the city. Our programs, we have a little bit of those. So with this new space, my vision for my school is fast forwarded probably like 5 years in advance. Like, cause like in my head, I've got pottery coming, I've got this coming and this coming, but it requires money, it requires space, and just stuff that I don't have at the moment. But with the youth center, it's gonna make Sherwood an artistic hub and put us on the map for creativity. I really believe that. And I'm a competitive person. I know we hear a lot about stuff going on in North Little Rock and Little Rock and stuff, and I want to be on the creative map with the Atelier School of Art. And like if Sherwood citizens or anyone close by that thinks of art, they want to think about this place. So with that, our programs start off with process art, like I mentioned. It's basically where students can explore and develop familiarity with fundamental theories and techniques. They start off at 3 years old. Our studio classes expand in traditional arts as well as drawing and painting. On the digital front, we offer digital painting, animation, equipping students with today's skill in digital landscape. We cater to all levels, so if you're just starting out or if you're highly advanced, we have classes for that as well. Following our move, we're thrilled to announce the sculpting and pottery classes. We're really excited about that. We're going to have all kind of events for pottery and actually have ongoing classes to learn how to sculpt and do pottery itself. After that, we plan on having a full-blown printmaking studio, a digital photography studio, and learning how to do use the Adobe suites such as like Photoshop and Illustrator. So again, we'll be one of the only places where you can go and have hands-on instruction in Photoshop and not have to take an online class or a class at a university. So it'll be available here. Excuse me. Through our nonprofit, we plan to support other creative expressions, offering a space for music, creative writing, dance, and theater, providing home for teachers that may not have one. We really believe that having an outlet for whatever type of art that you're wanting to experience, we can provide that. So we're pretty excited about that. So inclusiveness, the Atelier School of Art has a place to explore and grow their artistic talents. The school is committed to being inclusive, welcoming students of all ages and backgrounds and abilities. With small classes, we ensure that students get the attention they need to grow at their own pace. We will accommodate different abilities and learning styles, creating comfort and have an accessible space for everyone. So we have a lot of kids that may have like high anxiety or social skills or like stuff that, if it's too big of a class, we have classes that are smaller, more quiet, and just cater to that type of thing. Art is a great place for kids that have these type of issues because it's a way to cope with their emotions. It's therapy. It's therapeutic. I think it's a great way to handle that type of stuff. We're also expanding our programs to make art accessible to everyone with new daytime classes for homeschoolers and senior citizens, as well as flexible night and weekend options. The school will be a place for everyone to share and explore and develop their artistic talents. So we believe that art should be accessible to everyone, no matter their financial situation. Currently, through scholarships and different type of slide scaling fees and free community events, we make sure that cost is never a barrier. With our new nonprofit, the Atelier Foundation, we're expanding this commitment, offering more scholarships and resources and opportunities to communities in Sherwood and beyond. So we just opened the nonprofit, and the whole mission of that is to give lessons to anybody that can't afford it in art, music, dance, theater, anything that they want to express themselves in. We're going to make it happen and make sure that we have that space for them and we're there. We'll have a space for any educator or teacher that wants to come in and teach it. Community involvement. We actively collaborate with local schools, libraries, and community centers to expand our reach and impact. For example, we offer free art lessons at a couple of locations in Central Arkansas Library at least once a month, and try to offer free face paintings and arts and crafts during all the city's social events. For example, we'll be at this year's Christmas parade and Winterfest. Our kids are looking forward to that, to being in the parade. A lot of them never experienced that. Tomorrow, I believe we're at Sherwood Elementary for the trunk or treat, so we'll be over there as well. During the summer, we provide professional development for teachers, and these classes help educators learn new skills and assignments to use throughout the school year. So we have several different types of art classes for educators to come in and kind of learn new techniques from highly skilled people, and it's a really fun time to spend your summer. Every year we host an art show where our students proudly showcase their artwork and connect to the community. They have a chance to earn trophies for placing in their age group and even the honor of winning Artist of the Year. We just had it a couple of weeks ago on Saturday. The event was a huge success. Hundreds attended, including students from my personal school. I teach at North Little Rock Middle School, so we had a lot of students attend that as well, so they got to participate in the art show as well. It's a very fun celebration of creativity, open to all, and it's definitely one of our favorite traditions that we have every year. So it's very fun. The use and plans of the building. We recognize the importance of preservation of the building's historical significance as the former youth center, and aim to honor its legacy by beginning a new chapter focused on creative and learning. To support the programs, we plan on making thoughtful upgrades, like enhancing lights. I think a lot of them are like the old lights, so we're gonna put maybe LED lights in for better lighting for the studios. Create gallery spaces to showcase artwork, and we wanna do murals and sculptures for the outside. We wanna make sure that when you drive by this youth center, you know that it's an art school, and that whole area is just the artistic hub of Sherwood. That's my plan. We want the community to know that that's where the creative hub is going to be located. The rest of the book is just about our art camps, our art shows, the community events that we have, and I think there's a lot of cool pictures about our current art show that we just had. So that's it. Any questions on this?
Thank you,
Oh, and
Oscar.
also, I apologize. The price list for all of our stuff is on the very back page. So if you want to see how much it costs to attend,
Thank
it's
you,
all on the
Oscar,
back.
very much.
And
for
how
that
many
wonderful
current
presentation.
students do you have?
Currently, we have, it fluctuates. It's around the 200 mark. We have about 200 students.
And you're fitting those in that space you've got up by Gadwalls.
So when we first started, I had a space that was 10 by 10 for a gallery, and then a 10 by 10 room. That was my first space. Then we
Wow.
expanded a little bit bigger, but yeah, our current space, we're already outgrowing it, so we definitely need some more room. So
He gave this presentation at the Parks and Rec meeting, and the Parks and Rec Committee at that time, after discussing it just briefly, decided this was an excellent use, they thought, for the Durand Youth Center, and are recommending it unanimously for consideration by the City Council. And I told him during the meeting or after the meeting too, that I just think it's outstanding. You know, as a 9-year-old, I was enrolled in the first art classes at the Durand Youth Center with Jeanette Sparks, and then my oldest daughter was enrolled with Minion Hatton there and took lessons with Minion Hatton for years, and that daughter is now a graduate from the University of Arkansas with a graphic arts degree who works as a graphic artist with a Fortune 500 company. And so, I mean, you never know where that is going to lead for a young person. And I think that I just can't think of a better use for that building personally, because I feel strongly that the arts and humanities have a specific way of developing the mind of a child that leads to all the other developments, whether it's the mathematics, whether it's the sciences, or whatever, anything else. It grows a portion of the mind that, specifically that right side, that just helps with the child's development. So, like I said, we recommend this strongly. I did have one question. The Adobe, as I recall, there's no extra charge above the classroom charge for the use of that Adobe product. Is that right? Do you charge for the use of the Adobe product?
Not currently, no. For a digital art, everything's included.
Everything's
So,
included.
Yeah, everything, whatever class you sign up for, we don't charge for art supplies or anything
Okay.
like that. So the monthly fee has everything. Just come as you are, and we'll take care of the rest.
Well, as a parent who was a slave to the charge for Adobe Photoshop for years, that's
Yeah.
quite a benefit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like a couple of comments, and I see James getting up, because I did call Shelby today regarding this. My mother was an artist, so my home has got her artwork all over, as well as the other family members, so I do appreciate the arts. I try, that gene did not get passed this way. But I was wondering, because I was this is an about planning and zoning. This is an R1 neighborhood, and I pulled up the stuff about R1 is allowed, and I called Shelby about it, but it didn't. This is a business, and to be even though it's called a school, it's still a business. I'm not seeing that. I feel like we probably have to do public comments before we could approve this, and have it a conditional use put on it to match our own zoning code about the R1.
I asked James to come up and speak to that.
I called Shelby about it today.
So when we took a look at this, you're about to get into a lot of minutia of a zoning code, and there's a lot of technicalities. And so when you get down to that level, there's different ways of interpreting it. One way to look at this is that this is a continuation of the existing use, that essentially it's still owned by the city, and it's somebody that's leasing it and operating that youth facility or that youth center. That is one interpretation. An additional interpretation could be that this is converting to an entirely different use as a school. That is what I would call a more conservative interpretation of the code. In that situation, then one would say it requires a conditional use. In our discussions with Mr. Cobb, one of the things that comes up that I think is a particular issue is, are we regulating the activity on the property, or are we regulating the people on the property? And that to me is a kind of a serious question, because it comes down to, if we take it one interpretation, then it's approaching it as this is continuing. We have youth on the property, we're continuing youth on the property. The other would be an interpretation that basically says it's okay if it's operated by so-and-so, but it's not okay if it's not operated by a different person.
You see,
And so-
Mr. Cobb and I had the same conversation a week or so ago, and he brought this up to me, and that's basically what it is. It's okay if the city does art in the building, but if we let anybody else do art in the building, we're going to set up a bunch of hoops for them to jump through, and that's a double standard. And I don't think that's appropriate. So as long as it's the same use, then I think no zoning is required, because like he says, we're simply creating hoops because of who the Wahardos are versus who the city is.
Additionally, there is an opportunity for protections. Since it is a city facility, the city has the ability to control the terms of the lease for that, which has a lot of the same practical effects as one might get with a conditional use.
I just wanted us to make sure we're following our own procedures regarding the zoning. and-
There are a lot of minor technicalities
Yes, and-
with it. I mean, we deferred to Mr. Cobb on this, and I would say that there's a sound legal argument there to allow it to proceed.
Steve?
I agree with that. We talked about it. And I think Charles' point is well taken about how we're managing it.
All right, I just want to make sure, because when I said it's a business going into an R1 neighborhood, and none of that's zoned that way, and we've done so much stuff with other zoning, it was a question I think we need to ask.
I have a question. So it says on here, we're considering a lease. So we're just negotiating the lease right now. We're not entering into any type of agreement tonight at all.
Correct. That would come before the council, most likely next month.
So we get to see the lease.
Oh, absolutely.
The
Yes, ma'am.
resolution I asked for was simply for the city council to approve for the mayor to enter into negotiations for a lease that would be presented to the council at a future time, which I thought was consistent with the
So
ordinance
all
we
we're,
passed.
all we're
previous
doing
year.
right now is just listen to the man's presentation. We have all the time to consider the legal implications, consider
Gotcha.
the lease. So right now, we're not entering in anything. So I think this is the time to have a whole month to think about it and to see what we have next month.
Well,
And this-
I need
I'm
to,
asking you tonight to give the mayor the authority to enter into negotiations for a lease.
Right.
and we have the resolution. I need to read it if we'd like to continue on that discussion.
Does
One
any-
more question.
Yes, ma'am.
So that meant the presentation from Adam in July regarding doing something else for the exterior of the grant to the Durand Youth Center is still possible?
It is possible. We have been told that when we did the research, they typically do not give a city a grant 2 years in a row, so that's
If we're the only
highly
applies in that.
unlikely that we would receive that grant. So that would mean a whole nother, we can talk about it again because there was some resistance from the area. Maybe that's not what we do over there. But that would be a whole nother grant process and you all would have to approve that. So,
What kind of resistance?
Yeah.
well, at the public hearing, there was no one from the neighborhood that spoke that was actually for it. The people who came to the public hearing were concerned about there being basketball, that there could be parking issues, and
I think
things
they asked questions.
such
They
as
asked
that.
questions. I don't think it was against, I think they just asked questions.
There was no one who was positive for
Will be
it.
very well received, though.
Oh,
I do too.
Once
The
this
art,
is presented.
right, yeah.
The-
I mean,
and
I'm not against the art, I love it.
Yeah, and
Oscar.
they're not mutually
I just
exclusive.
want to make
Now,
sure we're okay.
Before we go to the resolution, does anybody else have any questions for Mr. Wahardo?
What's his
About-
last name?
Wahardo? It's Oscar Wahardo. Guajardo, I believe. Is that close enough?
That's right.
There's a man in the audience. Has his hand.
He didn't sign
He
it.
did not
didn't
sign up.
that. He didn't sign
No.
it to speak. I'm sorry.
If there be none for
I'm
our
sorry?
speaker, then we'll move on to the resolution. I
All right.
think, as you guys could see, he's got a long track record, he's a good businessman, and he runs an incredible art school. So,
Thank you, Oscar.
next up, we have a resolution for consideration by the City Council of leasing the Durand Youth Center building.
Move for the adoption of the resolution.
We have a motion by Councilmember Lilly and a second by Councilmember Broderick. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Sanders. Wade.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you all for coming and doing the presentation.
Yes, thank you
I think
very
this will be a
much.
great asset for our city. Next up, we have Planning Commission. We have, and I guess we've got,
Motion to speak on the one-year bachelor grade.
okay, yes. And do you want James also, or, no? Okay, great. We've got an ordinance amending the official zoning district maps for the property located at Lot 19RR Marywood Edition and for other purposes. This was read twice, and floor is yours.
Good evening, Shelby Notia, City Planner. So with respect to this item, the applicant did email me today, has requested to withdraw the rezone request.
Okay.
Okay.
That is the zoning at the end of Penwood.
Correct.
It's been withdrawn.
Okay. We had someone who had signed up to speak.
Ms. Gill-
It's Miss Gillum. Miss Gillum?
Are you still wanting to speak? It's been withdrawn?
It's been withdrawn. Do you still want to speak, Miss McGillum?
Okay.
Very good.
Do we have to do anything in terms of
Well, we're
tabling
not
it or voting on
tabling
it?
it necessarily. It's just being withdrawn, the application's been
Okay,
withdrawn.
I just wanted to make sure. Next up, we've got an ordinance amending the official zoning districts maps for the property located at 8900 Highway 107 and for other purposes. This was read once at the September meeting.
Yes, so this next item on the agenda, it went to Planning Commission. We have scheduled a public hearing, and that will be at the November Planning Commission meeting. So this will be read one more time this evening, please.
Okay.
Okay, moving on, we've got item C, a resolution authorizing the mayor and city clerk to execute a deed conveying lands from the city of Sherwood to a property owners association and for other purposes.
Okay, so this next item, this is actually not a recent planning commission item, but this went in 2023 as a final plat. And long story short, on the final plat, in a little tiny general notes, it dedicated a massive tract of land to the city of Sherwood. And it was denoted as a green belt since the POA and the homeowners in the area wish to maintain it. So this is a dedication conveying the lands back to the POA.
Went out there and drove and saw it this week, and it's just the power lines through it in the wooded area, so
Right.
I
Yes.
would move to.
Yes, and this would actually help our Public Works Department to not have to
Maintain.
maintain it.
Yes.
Yes.
Move for adoption.
We have a motion by Councilmember Broderick and a second by Councilmember Wade. Roll call, please.
Thomas.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Sanders. Wade.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Just for the record, the motion was made by Councilmember Brooks, not Councilmember Broderick.
Oh, did I say Broderick? I'm sorry. It's the B thing again, right?
It's the B thing.
The B belong thing. All right, next up, we've got Street Committee, Councilmember Lilly.
Street Committee did not meet, had a lack of a quorum and no pressing business and nothing new. So if the agenda stays as such, then, we likely will not meet in November or December either. If there's anything pressing that comes up, we will meet, but I'll make that decision closer to the time of the meeting, so.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next up, we have an ordinance approving the use of eminent domain for acquisition of needed property for the Power Line Trail Improvement Project and for other purposes. And I know you all always have questions, so Mr. Cobb, if you would give a little
This is
presentation.
not unlike what we did when we came to the council regarding Jacksonville Cato. We have experts in acquisition that are working with us that are in the process of negotiating with various property owners. They're doing the title work, they're looking into the title histories to find out who we need to be talking to. And sometimes it gets pretty complicated. In fact, it often does. And so I felt it prudent to ask the council to go ahead and give us, the ability to use eminent domain for the acquisition of this property so that the projects can move forward. This doesn't say that that we are going to stop the negotiations. We're not. That's always the best way to go. And you're going to see something here on the agenda later that where there were negotiations where we've reached an agreement. But I thought it prudent to ask you to let us use this tool. And what this would result in, if we do have to use it, is the posting of funds with the court. That is to show the good faith of the city based upon an appraisal that we've gotten from a professional appraiser as to what the fair market value of the property is and what the property owner would be entitled to. At the same time, the court gives us a right of entry to the property so that we can continue the project. So the aspect of compensation is still there. It will always be there, but it also allows the moving forward of the project. It doesn't slow it down to the extent that it brings things to a halt. It's a fair balance between a municipality and the property owner.
And in this particular case, it's, and this happens sometimes where you can't get clear ownership and title, and that's what we're up against, is there's dispute amongst family as to who owns property and all that fun stuff. So and we're kind of in the middle of it, and the title company has spent a great deal of time trying to unravel, because sometimes these things can be very complicated in terms of wills and different things. So that's the situation that we're at.
How many tracks are we talking about?
I counted, that's my question, I counted 16. It was just that track around that red park, correct?
Well, we don't want to limit it at this juncture. We'd like to have the council's approval to utilize this whenever we anticipate we run into the problem, rather than coming back time after time. The one that has gotten our attention to bring this to you is actually 3 tracks from a family, the Longstreth family, track 16, 17, and 18 is what we're looking at. But I'm asking you, it would be my preference to ask you not to limit us to just those specific tracks. But if we encounter this in the future, knowing that we're working in good faith to try to negotiate the purchase of the property, but if we can't, that would be the next step.
Okay, in this 150-page document that y'all gave us from
Appraisal.
the appraisers from the Reed and Associates, on that one page regarding the finances, the $56,000, is that their
That's a
fee?
different, that's not this
That's
property.
not this property,
Okay.
that's the next one.
Okay.
Can I ask you, so this is the hard part. Are there property owners who don't want the city? I
No,
mean,
that's not what this is about. It's just we can't get clear title. No one is saying, on these issues that we're working on, they're not saying no. It's just we've got one group of people saying, I own it, and then we've got another group of people saying, no, we own it, and
nobody's contesting that they're going to have to give up that piece of real estate?
To my knowledge, no one has said that they oppose it, but that's where the court comes in, because they are the protector, if you will, of the individual property owner, and gives them the opportunity to come in and say, my property's worth way more than what they're offering. And so it actually ends up going to a jury if it goes that far, and to determine fair compensation.
Yeah, this ordinance allows them authority to move forward. If somebody does say, I don't want anybody taking my property and I don't want this construction on my property, this ordinance allows them to move forward and put it in the court, put the money to the court, and continue the construction on the property.
Right. I think what gives me pause is sidewalks are, that's right by the road. It's very common, easement for the city to, if they're going to build a sidewalk. But this is very different than the normal. That's why I wondered if people were upset about, I'm assuming it's going to be maybe through the people's backyards, their backs.
no, this is just, I believe this is just lots, correct?
I think so.
It's just what?
Yeah. There's no homeowner on these
No people.
properties that we're talking about. These are, yes.
Okay.
Once
This
again,
ordinance, though, does say power line trail.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not all inclusive for future unless it has to do with the power line trail, correct?
correct.
Okay. Just make sure we're together on that.
Open-ended is, open-ended, unlimited number of tracks, forever and ever, amen, is,
I don't know if it's forever and ever.
It's just
amen.
a-
It's still the project it's a project
yeah.
that's been labeled and specified with a set amount of
Acquisition needed
tracks.
property for the power line trail improvement project and for other purposes.
So what's the potential exposure here from a number of properties perspective? I mean, are we dealing with 10 different tract owners? Are we dealing with 100? I mean, what are we looking at?
Well, I think once, once these are cleared up, there's, I think is it Stonehill LLC has a bunch, or a wide swath. You've got in here the Austin Gardens, that one's already in here. There's some Metropolitan, there's 2 apartment complexes. There's, we had originally there'll be the land trips, potentially, maybe. River City Hydraulic just bought some of their property. I'm trying to think if there's any. So, I mean, it's,
Sounds like quite a few.
Sounds like pretty high.
well, most of them.
Substantial number.
Well, yeah, most of them, we are in the, I mean, it's very regulated. Remember, this was all done through multiple grants and so forth. So it's very regulated as to, you know, they have to do the appraisals, they have to offer X amount, you know, and how they do the calculations and so forth. This is not a stab in the dark of, well, we think your property's worth. It's not like that at all.
How much money was in the budget for the property acquisitions? I mean,
That's their Colleen.
Colleen?
Colleen?
What was that? Oh, that was yours. It's under, I think, street. Is that Brian? Somebody, Colleen? I don't know where that's.
Yes, it's in street.
But it's all built into that
It's
80/20.
included, right, in the line that is power line trail, correct? I mean,
Yes.
so, which is on the legal size paper of the budget, you have page 24 of 36, account 112-71097 power line trail. $919,200 is the total budget in that line.
That includes this property acquisition.
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah, this is not going to
But
be the amount is not substantial. Do you have what the actual?
For these 3 that we're looking at, it's 3,100 for one track, 25.2 for another track, and
Yeah, it's not about the money on these tracks. It's just we can't get clear title. So. Pleasure of the council or other questions? Once. Okay, well, we'll have it on the agenda next month if no one wants to. Next up, we have a resolution approving the acquisition of temporary construction easements and permanent easements in connection with the power line trails. That's the appraisal that you were previously referencing, and no, that is not the fee. That would be the amount that they would be receiving.
So this amount of 56,000 is the maximum that would be utilized? That's what I'm asking, what's the 56,000?
So once again, that's the amount that, when they have done the evaluation and everything else, plus there's also the $500 if you read through there for the temporary construction easement. So it's not a maximum, I mean, that would be it.
That's how much a check is got to.
Correct. So that this one can move forward. That
So
is
this
what
is a
they've agreed.
resolution?
Yes, they've agreed to that with Volker based upon the professional analysis that was done.
Won't be in trouble for doing that.
So this resolution, if passed, would cost us about $56,000. Is that how everybody else reads it?
Well, 55,950 plus $500,
Yeah.
so a little over 56.
Yeah. Well, yes, a little
Miss
over
Math major?
56,000.
I said about.
Okay.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
is this in the middle of, this is not, so the power line trail, this is more or less in, kind of in the middle of the, well, not, this isn't at the start, so this is, the power line trail doesn't start here. So this is kind of like,
Right.
this is not, what I'm asking is, we're doing this kind of backwards almost, because we need to do, this is just gonna be a piece in the middle.
Okay, so it's not really backwards. As we are able to get these things resolved with title, like there was some title issues and so forth because it was a homeowners association, we finally got all that cleared up.
Okay.
So as soon as they get each of these parcels cleared up, then we're able to then, you know, with a set amount, able to then come to council. If it's a small amount, like that previous one was, well, that's within the spending limit, well under it. But the rest of them are gonna be more substantial, maybe not this amount, but enough to where they'll be coming before council. So basically, it's not necessarily that you do them A, B, C, D, E, F, G in order. As soon as we can get them wrapped up so that we can move on to the next one and the next one. This project has been in the works for quite some
I know it
time, and
has.
it's just, we're trying to get this thing wrapped up and moving as quickly as we can.
What is the timeline, do you think, on the power line trail as far as getting it done?
It's just how quickly we can get these closed.
Is this basically the last step before we can get started?
Then we put it out for bid,
Okay.
and then they start construction. I feel like the construction part will go very quickly. The other thing too is it helps to, as soon as we can, the expenditures of these things helps encumber the project, and so it keeps us in compliance as well. So that's why they're like, as soon as you get them closed, move, you know. I mean, the Metro Plan, who we got the grant for, they would love for us to be done with this project, just like we would, so.
I think the concern is that we put monies forth to, you know, close these out, and then we get further down, and then we're stymied and we can't go any further, but we've already purchased, you know, property. So, I mean, is there potential that that's gonna happen?
No, sir,
And-
because that's what if it gets down to that, then you can utilize
The eminent domain.
the eminent domain to go ahead and move forward with the project while they do the negotiations.
Sure, okay.
You know, I can tell you that the Andy Collins Group, they are very excited about the project. One of the apartments complex, actually, the new owners changed the name of the apartment complex to Sherwood Trails because it's going to be on the trail. We've had great, you know, talks with the links. So, I mean, it's all moving in the right direction. It's just that ball is going forward.
Okay.
So,
And there are lots of articles out there that show that residential properties that sit on trails like that, walking trails and community
Absolutely.
trails, increase in
Yes.
value.
yes.
So,
I'll move for the adoption of the resolution.
I'll
Second.
second it.
Motion by Councilmember Lilly, and was a second by Councilmember Williams. Did I get that correct? Thank you.
Thomas. Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Wade. Brooks.
Aye.
Broderick. Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Next up, we have a resolution appointing Ashley Williams to serve the remaining term, replacing Jody Abernathy to the City of Sherwood Planning Commission. Ashley, can you please stand up? We are very fortunate to have someone of Ashley's caliber. I don't know if you all read her resume. She is a certified economic and community developer. She is very knowledgeable about planning. She helps communities all over the place when it comes to these types of issues. I thank you for being willing to serve on our planning commission.
Move for the adoption.
Second?
We have a motion by Councilmember Harmon and a second by Councilmember Brooks.
Thomas.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams. Sanders. Wade.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Broderick. Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
And that last one was done separately because it was filling a term and it helps the city clerk and when they reference things. Otherwise, it would have all been together. Next up, we have a resolution reappointing and appointing certain persons to serve on various Sherwood's boards and commissions. We've got Jeff Harold and Kimberly Housley. I know,
Kimberly's right there.
if you could please stand, Kimberly, for A&P, and then Public Facilities Board, Ed Williams. And you all received their information, and once again, it's great to have people willing to put forth their time and serve the community. Do we have a motion?
Move for the adoption.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilmember Thomas and a second by Councilmember Williams. Roll call.
Thomas.
Aye.
Harmon.
Aye.
Williams.
Aye.
Sanders.
Aye.
Wade.
Aye.
Brooks.
Aye.
Broderick.
Aye.
Lilly.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Under old business, we have Baldwin Shell and Cromwell to go over the new Public Works Police and Fire Training facilities. They have been working feverishly on this, and I'm excited for you all to see. This is the first time the city has actually built a building since the Harmon Center.
Library.
That was actually the library building it in conjunction with us. We own the land. But anyway, I'm very excited for our city, and
That'd be great.
and I think it'll be something that you all will be able to show your grandkids someday and be able to tell them that you had a part of this.
Excellent, thank you. We're going to get a little presentation going, but let me go ahead and start. So I'm Chris East, Cromwell Architects and Engineers, representing a whole group of people, but I'm just here today. I'm the principal in charge. And behind me, we have Baldwin Shell, the contractor. Let them introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chris. Drew Williams with Baldwin Shell. It's good to see everyone again. I've got my team of estimators and a senior project manager here. So I've got several of my team members that are here today. They've been helping us put this whole budget process together. So I'm the guy you see at all the events. These are the guys that actually know their stuff. So
I thought you were going to say did the work. Drew.
they did the work. Absolutely.
Oh, they did do a lot of the work.
100% did the work. Did the work and have all the answers. So Cameron and Gary and Tommy are here today to support this as we go through it. So.
Great. Well, I'll just start by giving a quick overview.
If you could talk into the mic. Yeah, there you go.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
I know they probably want it all recorded. I'm used to sort of talking as much as I can. That's right. So I'll just go over a real brief sort of overview of the project. We'll go over the plans, go over the site, and then we'll talk about the cost, and I'll really hand it back over to Baldwin Shell to do that. I don't know if you all remember, but we started this close to a year ago, and working with the mayor, with Brian, with Chief Hager, Chief Sawyer, we've really, I think, come to a point where everybody seems to be on the same page in terms of what we're getting, and most importantly, also what we're able to afford with the budget that we have. The project itself, I'll just go ahead and move to this. This is just an overall site plan. The project itself has two main components. There's a component to the north, which is up to the top edge of the page, which I'll really get into detail. And that's where the Public Works facility is. And then on the south side, on the bottom of the sheet, is where we have the shooting range and future fire training tower. So the majority and the bulk of the work is happening on the north end of the site, which you see here. And of course, this site is on the edge of Landers Road and Two Pines, so right where Landers Road ends. As part of this, we have a administrative building, and a combined street drainage, sanitation, and vehicle maintenance facility. Additionally, there's a wash bay that supports those two functions, as well as several little outdoor structures for material storage and the sort of things that you really need in order to operate a public works facility. The administration building is the one that is really out front, and it is what you'll be able to see from the road. And in that administration facility, we actually house multiple different departments, so not just Public Works, although Public Works, of course, is the main tenant, but also space for police, so Chief Hager, as well as room for the fire department, so Chief Sawyer will have some room there. Everything that you see to the left in that light blue is training. So we've got a training facility, offices for Public Works. We have break room, bathrooms, a gym for the police with showering facilities, and then also about six seats for police officers, and then seventh for the actual police administrators. So this is all up front. So part of the process that we went through, also just to sort of ad lib, is to combine a lot of the uses that we started off with. So we really started here, and then we were able to get down to here, and we were able to do that by collaboratively working together with all the different departments, as well as, of course, the mayor's office.
Is the color coding significant, the pink, blue, purple?
It is based on who's using it. So basically, the purple is Public Works Office Administration.
Okay.
The police officers, that's the one sort of there on the bottom of the sheet. That's in blue. It's a little harder to see up there. Shared amenities are the ones that are in that sort of darker blue. And then circulation, of course, is in white. The maintenance and operations building. So this is really where it all happens. What we have here is a combined maintenance and operations building. Everything you see that's in that yellow portion, that's actually an enclosed, what you could probably think of as a shop. So that's where they do maintenance on the police cars, on everything that basically moves, has oil, needs to be maintained. That is a bit of an oversimplification, but it's where the work really happens. Adjacent to that are all of your support spaces that you need, everything from parts storage to offices so you can maintain records to break room. We also have large staff lounge, bathrooms, locker rooms, and trying to create a space that not only works for your 9 to 5, 8 Monday through Friday, but also on those really heavy work days where you have ice and you're really there 24 hours a day, and these guys are burning the midnight oil, so they need to have enough support spaces to be able to support all of that work. Additionally, there is room for future growth. So I don't want to get into it too much necessarily, but there is room for future growth for when funds become available to really support a lot of the functions and the storage needs that Brian has. Additionally, wash bay building, really not much to this, honestly. A place for you to clean off all your vehicles as you come and go. But that is sort of the main overview, and I'm going to turn it over to the contractors to tell you the next fun part, which is the cost. Who do I talk to? Is that you, Brian?
Everybody's dodging that.
So, I guess, is it to me?
I've been shot at a lot, so.
All right. Well, I'll stand next to you.
I need to give you a little just back history on the process we go through. We go through what's called a 3-step cost evaluation process, where we take, as Chris alluded to, a very basic program set of drawings. We go in and we budget that, and we report back to the clients. Second step is what's referred to as the design development. After that initial schematic level meeting, as Chris said, with the department heads in the room, we started going through and refining things as as we knew more information. Cromwell then in turn issued a design development set of drawings. We budgeted it, came back in, made some more revisions, and Cromwell finished what we refer to the 100% construction documents. In other words, this project is on paper and we can take that set of drawings and go build it. Prior to that, however, we write individual trade packages as part of our GMP agreement to request sub-bidding to establish the guaranteed maximum price. We just completed that effort about 8 or 9 days ago, reported back, and after all of our efforts, bear with me 1 minute, please. The initial or the final bids came in and were tabulated at, you think I'd have these on before I step up to the microphone, wouldn't you?
You don't need them to talk.
Huh?
You don't need glasses to talk.
I know, but I need them to read this.
Beverly is the testament to that.
Okay.
At the end of the construction bid phase, the project came in at $12,761,574. So, subsequent to that, we went through a value engineering or cost reduction exercise, and the project now stands at $12,050,000 with an additive alternate, excuse me, I think I'm going to sneeze, with an additive alternate that pushes it to $12,700,000. The additive alternate, the project was designed and budgeted with all of that site area you saw having 12 inches of what's referred to as Class 7 or gravel parking. We wanted to go ahead and present it two ways, with asphalt and without. Here's what I need to make the city of Sherwood aware of, is that this gravel, if it sets more than about 4 or 5 months, you run the risk, if you do decide to pave this at a later date, of having to rework approximately 2/3 of that gravel base. In other words, you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it a couple of times.
One way or another.
One way or another. My recommendation, and I've been doing this is my 44th year as a constructor. For the money that it would cost you as close as 2 years from now, you really should consider taking the 12.7 and paving it now. It's going to make for a neater, cleaner, more efficient facility. It's going to be a lot less operating headaches for everybody.
And they can speak to, you know, the 10 million, 10 million, 10 million. And basically what they explained to me was that a couple of things. A, when the city was given the number of 10 million, that was by an engineering firm that was just taking a stab in the dark and giving a general, $200 a square foot. Well, when you're talking about, you know, mechanic bays and all these other things, I mean, right now, $200 a square foot is what some homes, you know, are running, let alone having to have the kind of things that Brian needs. And then also with inflation, my concern is that the longer we wait, that price tag is only going to get steeper, not better. So if you want to kind of speak to your
do.
inflation analysis.
When this project was budgeted at the 10 million mark, if you look at average construction cost index inflation, if you look at the last 4 years, average construction costs have risen 7.3% per year. You can't take 10 million and say 7.03. What year was the 10 million budget established? If it was 2021, it compounds every year. That would bring you at $10 million to an adjusted 2024 value of $11,994,000 just on base inflation.
And I will say as well, and Brian could speak to this, the budget that had been proposed before I came into office also had an additional $500,000 in it for more site prep work, that we're not even adding that to his numbers in terms of all that. So this is really not out of line, although it's a large amount in the city. The other thing too is that this does more than just help Public Works with their needs. This also helps the police with their needs. They are very cramped. They don't have training space. It will help them tremendously in terms of being able to get their classwork done and their certifications and their interview processes. It helps them with recruitment, having, a gym that people can go to when the Harmon Center's closed, for example, because we don't have a place that's opened all the time. This helps also with fire and that, but they will be paying for theirs separately. So this gives growth. It gives Brian everything that he was needing. It gives the Chief Hager, everything that he was needing in terms of the police, which is an added that we didn't even take into account back when we started this originally.
It gives you a very unique multifunction ability. It also, I don't know if Chris, I don't know that you mentioned this, also gives them a qualification shooting range.
No, I didn't go into this detail.
At the south end?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, south end. Let Chris.
Hey,
if
Tommy,
you-
Tommy, real fast, I'm sorry, I caught that it was $12,700,000 for the paved parking. What was it for the gravel parking?
I'm sorry.
$12,050,000.
Right.
I apologize. Hold on one second. All right. With gravel, and I'll repeat this, I probably wasn't speaking into the microphone.
That's okay.
12,050,000.
Well, that's okay. I think you're right. I mean, if you're gonna do it, you might as well do it right. So,
And 12,700,000.
I got this $12,700,000.
Okay.
And this is for and we bought this in what year did we buy the property?
2023.
2023. And how many acres did we buy?
24? 24 acres.
24 acres. And did we buy enough land for us, or are we gonna have to buy additional land?
No, ma'am. We have plenty of land.
If you look at the overall site plan that's up there, I'll let you drive. You
Yeah,
know me in technology.
I mean, for what we have right now, it fulfills the needs for decades. But if at some point we double, triple inside, I mean, we still have all this other area in which we can expand. Not only can the buildings expand on either side, but then there's also a lot more land to expand as well.
We're
So,
only serving 5 acres at the top, the north side, so we've got all that backside there.
Right. It just seems like we bought this way longer than 1 year, than 2023. Seems like this has been going on for a long time. Okay.
yes. The other.
It has been, you're right.
Yes, it has been talked about for a very long time. I asked about time frame as well. If we are able to go ahead and get this approved, say November, then we're looking at them being finished November of '25.
That's right. I'll speak to the time frame. It'll take about a year to complete this program. We expect it to, if we could get going by Thanksgiving, maybe a little bit sooner, start the permitting process, we can be done within the calendar year of next year.
In terms of finances, there's several, different options. We had talked about doing the 5 and 5. We can also use, we could split it also, take $1 million out of street fund reserves, which would still leave us an ample amount in there if you wanted to do, an extra 1.7 out of general and do, the 1 million out of street, if that's, an option that you all would like to do. The other thing is, we could also do 6 million bond, 6 million, out of the reserves like we had committed. So 1 million more than what we had committed. And that extra million can once again come out of streets or it can come out of general. The thing that Brian was explaining to me is that the street fund reserve has stricter legal things in which it can be spent on. This would be one of them. However, but general fund, it's a lot easier. So if there ever was something to where, say something catastrophic happened on the street side, then we'd be able to then, you can always supplement in the general fund, but you can't go the other way, is what I'm trying to say. And the other thing I just wanted to remind everybody too, we were very fortunate in that we just got allocated a $4 million grant, that would have had to have come out of, out of streets and general fund. So, however, we wouldn't have had enough just in streets. So, we got this blessing, and then I got this news. So we're still in the positive by quite a bit, but.
So when we were talking earlier about the reserves and that we're 5 million plus 2.7 million, we're actually 5 million plus 2.7 million, plus we may have to take another 1.7 million for this, or 1 million or something, is what you're saying, depending on how we decide to fund it.
For budgeting purposes, yes. Not anticipating, once again, we don't typically, at least not in recent history, have we actually used that budgeted amount out of reserves, but still,
But that was up to 2, that was up to 2.5.
Yes.
That would be 3.4 4.1. So that'd be 9, that would be the whole shooting match, wouldn't it?
No.
Less than the 5,000, less than 5,000.
Colleen, do you?
So if we're speaking about general fund reserves, right now, we have about 20.5 million, not considering what has been committed for the 2024 budget, which is about 9.6. I think on one of the pages that you had earlier this evening shows that if, considering 2 months of operating revenues or expenditures were held aside, that was approximately 4.6, 4.8. Sorry, I'm trying to find my piece of paper among all these papers that I have.
4.8.
So, yes. So, if you look at that sheet where it says, assuming that what was committed this year out of reserves, which is 9.6, less our current, subtracted from our current 20.6, that would be about $11 million. 2 months worth of budgeted revenues is 4.8 million. But as you know, we discussed before, the 9.6 we believe will go back into fund balance at the end of the year. If for some reason it didn't, holding 4.8 million aside for 2 months worth, we would still have, $6.2 million.
It's $6.2 million from which we could pull the additional 2.7 that we need to fully fund this project at current budgeted amounts,
Correct.
without allowing for the fact that we think the 9 from this year still may go back into reserves.
Yes.
And that's doable.
I'd like to see this
I think you can almost guarantee the 9 from 2024 will not be
Correct.
spent this year.
Right.
Correct.
If you want to be more conservative, you could, like she said, you can always switch money from general to streets. You can't take money from streets to general, so if you want to be more conservative, you can take 1 from streets like they proposed and take 1.7 from general, and then the streets needs that 1 back. You can give it back to streets, but you can't take anything from streets to general.
Right, absolutely.
So, that would be my proposal, 1 from streets and 1.7 from general to make up the shortfall.
And when I discussed it with Brian, he still felt like that would leave plenty of reserves for, he couldn't imagine anything, he said, costing what we had in reserves, but
Yeah. It looks like, I think Colleen covered it, but we should have somewhere around 5 million in street reserves at the end of this year. So taking $1 million from it for this, and then was it 2 million that we budgeted for next year? That still leaves you with about a $2 million reserve
Okay.
balance in street fund. There's already, in this year's budget, there's $400,000 already budgeted to cover the street enclosure portion of enclosing the street building to this project, so. Adding another 700,000 for the paving, which we really need. I don't really like the idea of operating the site without the asphalt.
I would agree. I
totally agree.
I think that's just.
That's
not-
$650,000 well spent, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's cheaper now than it'll ever be.
Yeah.
I'd like to see our propose how we're going to fund this in writing. I mean,
well, I
we
would
can
be
we have
happy
that?
to do that. We just, I wanted to find out
Sure.
what you all.
Because we need to vote in November for sure.
Right, so what you all wanted to do in terms of, and what we could do is, kind of put in writing, like maybe the 3 different options, and then
yes.
you all could see it. The other thing too is I wanted to see if you all would be open to a quick special city council meeting to where we could address this particular issue so that the sooner they get moving, then we have, it would benefit them in terms of weather and everything else. But I didn't want to do anything without, since most of the committee meetings are not meeting in November.
Would it help, and we're happy to do this, we do these all the time.
Give us
We
the
do
$2 million? You're going to give us the $2 million?
No.
I like that, Tommy.
Sure, as soon as one of y'all hires me, because if I agree to that, I'm gonna be fired by 8:15 in the morning. We can take our schedule and we can look at the budget and we can give you what's referred to as a draw schedule. And basically, what that does is it forecasts the billings every month. We'd be happy to do that if it helps you to do your payment analysis. We'd be pleased to do that for you.
That'd be a question for Colleen, I think.
Yes.
We'll get you one.
Yeah, that would help us. So like with the bonds, for example, we have not done anything to issue that as we watch the interest rates get better for us. So even though Stevens was like, Don't you want to issue them? No, not
We
yet.
find it beneficial with our
Yes.
clients to provide that. It helps them manage their cash a lot better.
Thank you.
The gentleman
your
that said,
question.
if you know something if you start by Thanksgiving, you think you can get it done in the calendar year next year?
Yes.
How soon before Thanksgiving would you need to know something?
We have some pricing exercises that we still have yet to do. What we gave y'all as budgets, they're fairly solidified.
Okay.
Cromwell's working on some revised documents to help absorb some of the VE that we did. Value engineering is what we call it.
Okay.
And so we have a small exercise that's going to take us probably about 5 to 10 days to do with that. And at
Okay.
that point, we will have solidified numbers that will be well within the range that we discussed here tonight. And then based on that, we will submit to the mayor at that point in time those. And then if y'all give a notice to proceed at that point in time, we're off to the races.
So if we can do it within the next 2 weeks and get a decision made within the next 3 weeks?
I would say 3 weeks. I would say
Next
3 weeks. Let us
great.
do our exercises, then y'all have about a week to digest it.
All right, that sounds great.
Make a request that it not be on a Wednesday night, because we got some people that have commitments on Wednesday nights.
Sure.
I'm trying to take care of you, baby.
1, 2, 3. Monday, the 18th would be 3 weeks from now.
Does that work for?
Monday, the
Sounds good.
18th, you're out of town.
You won't have to be at the polling place.
I would agree. Monday, the 18th sounds wonderful.
Mr. Wade's gonna be out of town.
Mr. Wade.
He's out of state.
I'll be out of town too.
Two council out of town.
Okay. When do you get back, or
Tuesday
when
the
do you
19th.
leave? Like, do I move, which way do I move it?
The week before would be best for me.
Okay.
They can't be ready.
How about,
They need 3 weeks.
is there,
You didn't get an answer from Mike yet. When were you?
Yeah, week before is fine.
okay, week before?
Oh,
is-
no, no, no.
No.
Thursday and I'll be gone Thursday, Friday, come back the following Wednesday, so that would be what the
Okay.
20th.
With the 12th,
What about Thanksgiving? When is Thanksgiving?
it's at the end of the month. Would
12th is good for me.
Tuesday, the 12th?
Can't do the 12th.
You cannot do the 12th. Can you do Monday, the 11th?
Can do Monday. I can't
That
do
is
Monday.
Veterans Day, I believe. Do you all mind coming in on Veterans Day?
Is the city closed?
Yes, but we can open for this.
We can open for Veterans Day, the 11th?
What about them? Are they out of town or anything for a holiday?
What are y'all on the 11th? What do y'all look like on the 11th?
Yeah, it's Veterans
Yes.
Day. You can have the day off, we just need you an hour in the evening. Come
Would
on,
that work for you all?
That's going to put us in a little bit of a time crunch, but let us work.
Yeah, he
towards
wanted
that.
it 3 weeks. That's less.
You want, oh, that's right, he won 3 weeks.
Okay. Okay, and then Councilmember Sanders, you said you were coming back Wednesday,
Yes.
the 20th? How about Thursday, the 21st?
Is that good for you?
90%, that's fine.
But that's
Okay.
pretty good for you.
Councilmember Williams, are you here
I'm good.
on the 21st? You're good.
Unless I-
Councilmember Thomas is good, Councilmember Broderick is good, Councilmember Sanders,
What day was it?
Thursday, the 21st.
Going back and forth.
Okay.
Yes.
While you're looking,
Yes.
yes, okay, yes,
Yes.
yes, Councilmember Lilly?
Best I know.
What day
Okay,
is it?
Councilmember Harmon, okay. Then, we'll set it for Thursday, the 21st at 6 o'clock. Is everybody good with that?
Sounds
All right, great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
And we'll see you back then. Also, under old business, I did email you all. It was in the news and so forth, the big news that we did receive that $4 million grant for Jacksonville Cato, that was the largest that anybody received. So go Sherwood. Anybody have anything to go over right now under new business? Nope, there being none. Okay, under announcements, we've got hydrant testing by the Sherwood Fire Department continues until November 1st. November 4th is the last day of early voting, with November 5th is Election Day. On November 4th, I believe the Sherwood early voting is closed, though, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Election day, polls will be open from 7:30 to 7:30. There was some confusion 2 years ago. You do not go to the First Christian Church. If you wait till election day, you go to your designated polling place. November 7th, please mark your calendars for the Night of Remembrance, which will be at City Hall Park at 6:30 p.m. It's a beautiful evening with music, an opportunity to write a person's name on the back that you would like to remember, and put a luminary in it and put it along the trail for others to be able to see those names. We have November 8th, a Veterans Day tribute at 8 a.m. at the Jack Evans Senior Center. We're really excited. Our American Legion group will be leading that. November 11th is Veterans Day. It's a holiday and city offices will be closed. Monday garbage will be picked up the following day on Tuesday. December 7th will be Winterfest. It will be led off by the parade at 10 a.m. and it will close at 8 p.m. Are there any other announcements? Okay. At this time, the City Council may allow public comment if they so wish.
Did anyone sign up?
Yep.
Yes, one person.
We have one person.
I'm never going to say no.
That's not what he said.
That's.
All right, sir, it is, this is your warning. It's not appropriate to speak out from the audience. It's against the decorum.
I said I'm never going to say no to public comment. Thank you. That means it's okay by me.
Any objection? Okay. Mr. Levy? You have 3 minutes.
Can you let me get to the podium, sir, first?
I haven't started the clock.
Okay. First, I'm here for the people, not for you all. The people in the procurement laws in the state of Arkansas, the ones that got the information fine, whatnot, I don't care because I did all my due diligence in FOIA requests. But according to the Keogh Avenue sidewalks, the mayor has signed over 10 invoices and purchase orders to get under the threshold of $35,000. Total amount spent today is $200,000. By state statute, that's illegal. You can't piece or divide a project for under that threshold. And then I'll make it quick because I only get 3 minutes. Then the TIPS program, in order for not to get bids, used outside companies, used the TIPS program, which is very inaccurate on the pricing with the pickleball courts costing about approximately $250,000. The handicap playground costs $315,000, no bids, and plus using this TIPS program illegally because you can't use TIPS for capital improvements. You can call the state Arkansas legislative audit on that. You can't use it. Plus, the prices are outrageous for 2 pickleball courts, $250,000. I got prices all over the country that were less than half of that, less than half. And the mayor did this all for political gain. It's at the city hall. She told people before she went out for election, and things will come out over this when the public gets word on this for bribery, taking money. And I got names of people, we just haven't brought them up yet, for bribery that she promised people that they will get certain things if they give her campaign money. So that's where we're at. I don't want to be interrupted. I'm not even looking at you. So, and that's where
Mr.
we're
Levy,
at.
that's not germane to the topic that you said you wanted to speak
Quit
on.
interrupting. This is free speech. This is my First Amendment that I'm exercising. And city attorney, if you want to interrupt me again and don't allow me to
You
speak.
have 30 seconds.
No, I get 30 more seconds because you interrupted me. I can speak whatever I want to speak about up here. It's my First Amendment right, and I knew you were going to interrupt me. So, and all this is going to be on the news anyway, so it doesn't matter. And she's smirking, and I hope my video gets her smirking. She thinks this is funny. She comes out here and engages me as a resident and as a taxpayer viciously while I'm talking to a resident, and we got that on camera too.